Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show. Are your headphones not plugged in?
Nope. Can you hear me?
Yeah. No, it's not you. Time out.
Oh, it's not me for once.
Well, I never know
Look
which
at me.
one because
Hi,
they don't.
I'm Greg, not at fault. Everybody remembers that this is the time. Oh, I can hear myself now. This is the time where I didn't screw up. That's the real moral of today.
Is it?
Tepper didn't screw up.
Not,
We did it.
Not in
We
this
did it.
specific
Congratulations
instance.
to all the Tepper fans out there. It's a big day for us. Big day for us.
Tepper fans. That's a new one.
Big day for us. What would my fan club be?
I don't know. Big bunch of dummies.
The big bunch of dummies. Wow. It's creativity like this. That is why we pay you the big bucks.
I was going to say, I get paid to be creative. And
telling
this
you.
was one of the many instances
Boy, you just...
where the juices are flowing.
I tell you what, pipe the fastball right down the middle of the plate and you don't miss.
Let's roll.
Dateline,
Dateline.
the C.
Period and end of pre-show and show.
Angelin Burke has been in love with the open sea since she first embarked on a cruise in 1992. So when she married fellow seafarer Richard, the couple planned annual, if not biannual, cruises around the globe. Quote, "We really enjoy cruising and being able to visit different parts of the world without hopping on an airplane," Angelin tells Seven Life, which is the name of the place. It's an Australian thing that I'm reading.
Sure.
After crunching the numbers, the couple, in their 50s, realized that they could live the rest of their lives hopping from cruise ship to cruise ship for as little as 62 Australian dollars each a day. 53-year-old Angelin, an accountant, figured they could live their dream lifestyle thanks to a combination of savings and the anticipated sale of their home in Seattle. So they quit their jobs and, leaving behind their yet-to-be-sold bricks and mortar, sailed into the sunset, enjoying the life of seafaring nomads since May 2021. They are now well accustomed to their sea legs. The headline here is, "Couple lives aboard cruise ship after calculating, or cruise ships after calculating it makes more, quote, financial sense, end quote, than a mortgage. We do not plan to permanently live on land in the future." Wow.
Why not just buy a yacht?
Well, that's expensive.
Yeah, but over time, I mean, can your yacht payments be lower than your mortgage payments? No, it doesn't even have to be a yacht. Get a houseboat. That's not more expensive
But
than
that's
a
not,
mortgage.
you're right, but that's not a cruise ship.
Yeah, it's better. There aren't other people.
Look,
I mean, I guess
we're in agreement here. You and I agree on this.
I guess you're not having to cook for yourself.
Right. It's all your meals are included.
I just feel like, I don't know, cruise ships do shows and stuff. Like, some days I don't want to be having people sing Kumbaya to
You
me,
don't have to
you
go.
know?
You can stay in your room. But that's beside the point. The point is, I've been on a cruise. Have you been on a cruise?
I have.
You've been on a cruise. They're fine. The
Yeah.
idea of spending more than a couple of days on a cruise ship makes me want to jump out a window.
I legitimately, we've talked about going on another cruise, and I'm like, I don't think I could do more than a 5-day cruise. Like, I think 5 days is pushing it. Now, if you want to ask me if I could go live at a resort for the rest of my life on land, we
Bingo.
can talk about it. But I can't do it on sea. I don't think I could even. I don't think I would ever book a 7-day cruise. Going to be complete. Unless it would.
Yeah.
Okay, here.
No.
Let me take this back. Maybe an adults only one, like an adults only one to like a foreign country type thing, like a Norwegian cruise or an Alaskan cruise. Like, maybe you could probably talk me into that.
Alaska's in America.
I know.
Okay. You said
yes.
foreign country.
Okay, well, I started with Norwegian, and then I was like, okay,
wanted
maybe
to
an
make
Alaskan.
sure- I wanted to
Yes,
make sure
thank
you
you. I
knew
do
that
know
Alaska was-
that is part of the states.
I wanted to make sure you
No, it's not
understood.
attached.
I
You know,
wanted to make
like
sure you understood that we have Alaska.
we do.
We got it.
But
Uh-uh.
like, I
Once
couldn't do it with the kids.
Well, and once I did,
Carnival or any of that, there's no way.
once we once we figured out that all-inclusive
Inclusive.
resort thing,
Yeah.
we're like, I'm done with
Why in the world would you take? Yeah,
I don't get it.
Yeah, a resort you can get away from people to a certain extent,
Mhm.
and you can go do other stuff. You're on land. You
Mhm.
can just hop in a cab and go somewhere. But like,
Mhm.
no, not
No.
confined to a
That
boat.
feels like I'm being trapped. Like,
And there's kids everywhere. Like, that's little sugared up moffats
no,
running
we
around.
get it. You hate kids. Like, you've made that clear.
In a confined space. Yeah, there's no way.
So you hate child prisons too.
Yeah, that's an official stance of TFT.
Down
Boo to
with-
child prison.
Down with child prisons. Yeah, I read that and I was like,
Oh god.
Nope.
Yeah, there's no way. Also, imagine trying to sleep in an actual. Okay, when you went on the cruise and then you came back, did you kind of get those like?
yeah, you got the shakes.
You got the shakes a little bit. Imagine trying to sleep on a normal bed. Like, there's no way.
I just, I can't imagine volunteering and voluntarily saying, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna live among a consistently like churning group of people.
Yeah. No. Well, the other thing is too. They said it
On
was
a
cheaper
boat.
than a mortgage. Like, okay, get an apartment,
Well,
which is not cheaper than a mortgage at a lot of places, but you can find places
these
that
people
is.
just they love cruises.
Or
Pickle.
a hotel room. I don't know. Anything other than a cruise ship.
You know what you should do, honestly? I mean, this is me, and I guess this goes back to the idea that these people just love cruises.
Mm-hmm.
Your family has an RV, right?
Mm-hmm. Just get an RV.
So I get an Airstream.
Yeah, that makes so much more sense.
Because
And
then it's like you can
that
travel all you want.
or
You,
a
you don't have to
houseboat.
be. I can appreciate the idea of the wanderlust, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to stay in one place.
Place.
For
I wanna
too
keep
long.
moving,
I want to
yeah.
keep moving. I want to go here. The idea of doing that on a cruise ship
Is the only issue I have.
makes me physically ill.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like, even a houseboat.
Yeah.
I think I could. It would be weird, but I think I could adjust. I think I could live on a houseboat. I'm a huge lake person. Like, I don't see any issue with like necessarily living on a boat. Just not a boat with hundreds of other people.
No, you're exactly right. It's the people part.
Yeah,
of it.
houseboat, fine. I could make that work if I had to. Just like living in an RV, I could do that if I had to. Not happening on a cruise ship. That is too many people, and I'm a people person. And that is too many people. I'm a people person, and you know that.
Some people person.
I don't like you, but that doesn't mean I don't like other people.
Hit the theme expo. Pickle. Hit the air sign. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Lewisville, Texas, it is Texas Football Today, a show that just won't stop. We've tried.
Yeah, we just can't.
My name's Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine. TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Whether you're watching us live, TexasFootball.com, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all of the places, or you listen to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I'm sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She's the executive producer of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. She's Ashley Pickle.
Howdy, team. My nose won't quit running because it's kind of chilly in here. I spent a lot of time in here this morning, and I feel like I'm just sniffling a lot.
It's also, I presume, because
It's bad allergy season for me.
that too. But I also presume, because we've met, that you spent a lot of time outside yesterday.
I actually did not.
Really?
I-
Wow. Oh, yep. All right.
I'm going to be real honest. I think everything from the past like 3 weeks hit me yesterday. I was so tired. I was like, I do not want to get off this couch.
So you sat there and watched basketball?
I napped like twice, and I don't nap. I was dead. I was literally dead yesterday. But I desperately did want to be outside. I was mad at myself when I woke up at about 3, and it was really sunny, and I was like,
because I think when you go from being outside and being warm all day to being inside in the air conditioning, especially when
Cold.
the air conditioning's really blowing,
yeah,
it could be tough. Anyway, because Hank's all sniffly and stuff like that.
yeah.
Anyway, today is Monday, May 9th, 2022. It's I believe it's under 200 days till Thanksgiving. Let me make sure.
Oh, boy.
It is.
How does time keep going so fast?
199 days till Thanksgiving,
Let's
folks.
go.
Let's go. We're almost there. We're almost there. It's like only 199 days away.
Oh, that also means football season is so close.
Yeah, why are you saying it like that?
Because I need to get through magazine season, and then we can get excited about football season.
Happy birthday to, I don't know. Happy birthday to Rosario Dawson. And then it's episode 1381. On today's show, folks, we've got headlines from across the state, including SMU's just going to have all the receivers this year, guys.
They have all of them.
They have decided to build the plane entirely out of receivers.
Every single one of them.
We'll talk about that in the back half of the show. We're going to talk about what we did on Saturday. We worked on Saturday on purpose.
Yeah.
Ugh. But it was a lot of fun. We'll talk about what we did on Saturday down at the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony coming up here at the back half of the program. Do we have first four through the door? Ashley.
We do. Just Chad came in with a yeet. Nick Morton with a howdy.
No.
Aaron Arbuckle with a yeet.
We're not
and
doing
Tony
this.
Blaylock with a howdy.
We're not
I
doing
have
this.
left my imprint on
We're
this
not doing
show.
this. We're
Let's
not doing
go.
this. We're not doing this.
Yes.
I refuse to
Yeet.
participate in us
Just a bunch of yeets and howdy.
reading off everybody's first comment.
We're putting
No.
Llano, Texas on the map,
No,
baby.
Absolutely not.
Woo. Happy Monday, fellas.
Okay, let's get to some headlines from across the state. Let's start with what's going on at SMU.
SMU.
So SMU this weekend.
They said
No, this week. I should say this week.
Yeah.
Over the past week.
again, the transfer portal closed last Sunday, so
You
they
had
were
to
like,
be clear, you had to
Be
entered into, you have to be into the transfer portal. You can't, like, right now, you couldn't jump in the transfer portal right now. It's closed.
Correct.
But if you're in, you can still be shopping. You don't have to decide by May 1st.
Yes.
Okay? But SMU picked up a pair of transfers at their at one position over the past week. Back on this was this past weekend, Kelvonte Dixon, the Texas wide receiver, has announced that he is transferring to SMU. Kelvonte Dixon, of course, the Carthage product. He had 12 catches for 176 yards and a score in his Texas career. Just never was able to find the field all that often. Get this, Pickle.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about this?
You hear about this?
Dixon is the fourth Texas Longhorn to transfer to SMU this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
4 of them. Josh Moore, another wide receiver, transferred back on
Which
January
I've always
24th.
thought was a very underrated player, but that was just me.
Yeah, big Yoakum player. Defensive back, safety Chris Adamora transferred, and then David Abiara transferred less than a week ago. And so now...
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So
Keep stealing.
there is this pipeline now from Austin to
Dallas.
the Hilltop. And SMU brings on another wide receiver. And if that were it, it wouldn't necessarily be a trend of them picking up a bunch of wide receivers. You know, they got Josh Moore, they got Kelvonte Dixon. But then also, they get a transfer from Mississippi State in Teddy Knox. Theodore Knox transfers from Mississippi State to SMU, 5'11", 170-pounder out of the Woodlands. You may remember him from there. He was a 4-star prospect. He was a track star. He is now he arrives with 4 years of eligibility there in Dallas. So I want you to consider what SMU has done in the offseason. Okay, SMU has picked up Josh Moore. They've picked up Kelvonte Dixon. They've picked up Teddy Knox. Don't forget, they got Rice's best receiver, Jake Bailey, to transfer as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they are loading up on wide receivers and weapons for Tanner Mordecai there on the Hilltop. And so SMU just, okay, guys, we get it. You guys won a lot of wide receivers. You got them.
They're going to run the ball all the time, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, they're going to run the wing team.
Yep.
They're going to run the wing team. But
yeah. Okay.
really surprising. Like, not surprising because, like, Rhett Lashley obviously has an eye for talent, and he knows, and all of these guys are. So, I mean,
I really think
Kelvonte Dixon is not it's not coming from out of state to in-state, going from Texas to Texas school to Texas school. But Teddy Knox is an example of a guy who is coming from out of state, coming back home to Texas.
I think it really just brings it, like, what are you going to do with all of, like, they're also, it's look at all
But-
these chickens, you know, like they're all,
But here's the
there's
thing.
so many of
But
them.
here's the thing, okay? Jake Bailey, I believe, is a grad transfer, so
Uh-huh.
he's got 1 year of eligibility left. But Calvante Dixon, I believe, has 2 or 3 years of eligibility. We just
I
mentioned
would
Teddy
think
Knox
so.
has got
At
4.
least 2.
Like, so this is long-term planning.
This is
Like,
true,
this is
yeah.
in a lot of ways you're recruiting here, getting guys at the front end of their career. So, anyway, SMU cleaning up out there on the transfer portal as far as wide receivers are concerned. There are some high school football coaching changes to announce. Down in Spring has hired former Spring Decaney defensive coordinator Antonio Singleton to be their head coach. You may remember Trent Miller has gone off to Willis. Singleton replaces him. Trent Miller took Spring to 11-2. The new head coach at Spring will be Antonio Singleton. Elsewhere, let's see, Houston Madison. Houston Madison has hired Austin LBJ defensive coordinator Jason Davis.
Smart.
This is a guy who obviously helped LBJ to the 4A Division I state championship last year. And
He's dealt with nothing but D1 prospects,
He's got
basically in a
big-time
secondary for
playmakers.
the past 2 years.
guy knows what he's doing around some defense. LBJ defensive coordinator Jason Davis is going to be the next head coach at Houston Madison. Down the small school ranks, Itasca
The
has
Wampus.
hired Marlin offensive coordinator Ricky Torres to be their head coach. Ricky Torres, of course, was the mastermind behind one of the masterminds behind one of the great turnarounds in Texas high school football.
Is that a
last year
brother
with Marlin? I
of
don't
Ruben Torres?
know.
Or I feel like it's got
It
to be.
feels like it probably is, but I don't want to be. Let's see.
Brother, cousin, something.
I want to make I don't want to assume just because Torres is not necessarily a.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, that's a fairly common last name, but just when you have Ricky and Ruben both starting with R's too.
Right. I would need to confirm that. It is entirely possible,
Well-
but I don't want to speculate on familial ties. But in any case, Itasca has their new head coach and Marlin offensive coordinator Ricky Torres. After leading one of the most explosive offenses in the state last year. Hardin Jefferson has made a hire. They've hired Beaumont Westbrook assistant head coach Zach Bass to be their head coach, taking over Dwayne Dubois, who was there went 1-8 there in 2021. Westbrook has been a really consistent program, and he has been kind of the right-hand man there at Westbrook for the past few seasons. And so Westbrook, or rather Hardin Jefferson, has hired Beaumont Westbrook assistant head coach Zach Bass to be their next head coach. And finally, Somerville has hired Brenham offensive coordinator Philip Roberts to be their next head coach and athletic director. He takes over Cal Netherland, who led the Jaguars to a 5-6 record last year. This was an offense that was pretty darn good last year. They went 7-4. 7-4, and the number is not overwhelming. They averaged a little over 28 points a game, but they had a stretch there where they played Connolly, Elegant, and Bastrop Cedar Creek, where they averaged something around 47 points a game. The offense can hum, and that's probably what he's bringing there to Somerville. Philip Roberts will be the next head coach there at Somerville. Finally, Pickle, I've got 3 headlines here that we can file under the same category, which is Today in Panic.
No, I feel like you got it today in panic.
Today in Panic.
There you go.
So, perhaps you've heard that college football is all in a tizzy
It is.
because of the transfer portal, because of NIL,
NIL.
because, God forbid, we give college football players any sort of agency. That would be a real crime. So, there's a few different things. One, SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey and Pac-12 Commissioner George Kliavkoff met with United States senators in Washington on Thursday to ask for some legislative help around NIL. Kliavkoff put out a statement. The Pac-12 greatly appreciates the opportunity to engage in productive conversations with U.S. senators in an effort to create NIL legislation that protects our student athletes while allowing them to maximize their opportunities.
I'm gonna start responding to your emails like thanks for productive conversation.
Create NIL legislation that protects our student athletes. Sure.
Because that's what the NCAA is all about.
Sure. I'm sure that your number one priority
Is
is
protect the
protecting student athletes.
History
No,
does,
George.
yeah, history does prove that. Mhm.
George, you got it, buddy. I I trust you 100%. Anyway, that's one This Week in Panic. Also in Today in Panic, college football coaches, I believe it's the College Football Coaches like association of some kind. Let me make sure I get this right. But there was a report out that the college football coaches, an association of them, want to put together they want to put together a some sort of window for transfers, okay? So what they want to do is they want to say, it's the College Football Coaches Association wants to propose transfer windows in the late fall and spring to help with roster management around the transfer portal. This is Todd Berry, who's the executive director of the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Association, said Tuesday that his group would like 2 transfer windows for players to enter their names in the portal. One from the final Sunday in November until the early signing date in mid-December, and another from April 15th to May 1. Essentially, now I don't know that I necessarily have a huge issue with this. Mm-hmm. The idea being that coaches don't know when their guys might go and throw their name in the portal, and so they're constantly on high alert. If you say these are the windows in which you can enter your name into the portal, that may make the college football coaches roster management a little bit easier. Mm-hmm. So I am a little bit sympathetic to that. I don't hate it. I would want to think a little bit about it before I start taking agency away from college football players. Yeah. But I don't necessarily hate that. But this would be one level of control that would allow them to say, you got to know, right now the only deadline is May 1st. Mm-hmm. You can do it anytime, just May 1st for the next year. So May 1st, 2022, if you wanted to transfer for the 2022 season, you would need to be in by May 1st. Mm-hmm. They're saying, let's create these 2 windows, one in kind of late fall, one in, I guess, late spring, that would allow you to transfer.
Adding more stuff to the fall just never seems like a good idea, but
yeah, I guess.
You know.
Finally, also today in Panic, this is coming from the Ohio State athletic director. The Ohio State athletic director, who is I want to say his name's Gene something. That sounds right.
Sure.
Gene sounds right. Yeah.
We're
Gene
just gonna
Smith.
call you Gene.
Gene.
Hey, Gene. Everyone knows Gene.
I remember him from the pandemic, like whenever there was all the stuff about the Big 10. Like he's very outspoken
vocal.
Person.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ohio State Athletic Director Gene Smith on Tuesday proposed the 10 FBS conferences operate under the umbrella of the college football playoff with their own rules and structure, while the NCAA continues to host championships for basketball and Olympic sports. Smith, who said he was, quote, just throwing ideas out, end quote,
sure.
in a brief interview with ESPN at the Big Ten spring meetings, said the schools that offer 85 scholarships need different rules. He said they could create minimum standards for membership. Let me tell you where this is going. And this has been going this way for a while, that major college football, and by major college football, I don't just mean like the SEC, although we'll get to them in a moment. FBS football, they're going to splinter off from the NCAA. It's going to happen. They're going to say, nope, you know what? We're going to take our ball and we're going to go create our own rules over here because the NCAA is incapable of serving us in any sort of meaningful way. We want to go and create our own thing away from the NCAA. That's going to happen eventually. What's going to be really fun is when the Super League comes. Because, guys, it is coming. The Super League is coming. Mm-hmm. And the NIL is only starting to accelerate that. And what I mean by that is you are going to have, if it feels weird that Alabama and let's just say
Georgia,
Akron.
Oh, yeah. I see where you're going.
Alabama and Akron play in the same league, theoretically. That's because it is weird. And at some point, Alabama is going to sit, Alabama and the power schools in college football are going to sit up and say, boy, wouldn't it be awesome if we just, instead of, being in this league with everybody. What if we went and got our own TV
Mm-hmm.
deal for our own league?
It's just like when Texas and OU basically just on the Big 12. They're
Where
all
it's-
they're
that's
all
going-
already, most of them going to be in the SEC.
That's going one way. That's
Like,
going one way.
The
Ohio
Big 12
State's-
went down. Conference USA
Ohio
went down.
Ohio State's going to be in the SEC eventually.
Yes.
Okay. USC is going to be in the SEC eventually, or whatever that is, the power conference.
Nexus, yeah. Notre
going to
Dame will
happen.
jump in there.
There are multiple splinters that are coming in college football, and you just need to prepare yourself for it. That the days of Conference USA being on the same level as, there's already, unspoken levels where we say Power 5
Power
and Group
5 and
of 5,
G5.
but the days of the Conference USA being on the same level as the Big Ten or
Mhm.
whatever, those are going away.
Yeah.
And it's going to start with this. It's going to start with the FBS splintering off from the NCAA and creating their own and taking their ball and doing their own thing. And then once they do that, then everyone's going to say, well, wait, now that we have our own league, why are we sharing money with
Vanderbilt.
Middle Tennessee?
Yeah.
Why are we doing that? Why can't we just take the money ourselves?
Mhm.
And by the way, create our own rules that would allow us to, I don't know, employ players.
Oh, yeah, because for a fact they would rather add in Ohio State and kick out Vanderbilt. Kind of one of those things. It doesn't even go all the way down to the Group of 5 teams.
There are shifting sands
sorry,
coming.
Missouri.
Yeah.
You're out.
There are shifting sands in college football that are coming, and you just need to prepare yourself for
Yeah.
them. And when Gene Smith says these things, he's only saying these things out loud because he said these things privately for 3 years.
Mhm.
So, anyway, that's Today in Panic, and those are some headlines. We're Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. Hope you'll go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. I am looking at our 6A pages because I've been laying them out.
Nice.
I just finished District 27 6A. So
Nice.
Yay me. If you want to get your hands, your mitts, your paws on the 2022 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football before it hits newsstands, if you want it mailed directly to you before it hits newsstands, go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. You also get a bunch of online content, including new episode of Tep and Step we've got up. So if you want to
Woo.
listen to Step and I banter on for about an hour about high school football and nerd out, you can go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Makes a great gift as well.
It does.
Did you screw up Mother's Day?
I did not.
Well, if you screwed up Mother's Day, make it up to your mom.
Yes.
Go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Hey, Pickle, did you know that 35% of college athletes quit their sport or transfer schools by the end of their sophomore year? That's because most high school athletes only consider athletics when picking a college. They skip over the other important factors like college major, location, scholarships, and long-term goals. With so much to consider, how do you make sure you're choosing the right school? That's where our friends at Athletes to Athletes comes in. Athletes to Athletes is a college counseling program built specifically for student athletes and their families. They provide a holistic approach to help you find the college program that best fits all of your needs both on and off the field. Go to athletesToathletes.com/DC today to schedule your free info session and see how they can help you find the best college program for you. That's athletesToathletes.com/DC. All right, Pickle. We worked on Saturday. Now, I would normally work on Saturday, but I would work at my home on the pages that I'm staring at.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, you came to me,
Mm-hmm.
and I was holding my infant son.
Mm-hmm.
And what you did was you drop kicked me.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, he landed on
I grabbed him first.
a strategically placed group of pillows.
Mm-hmm.
But you drop kicked me,
Mm-hmm.
and then you got in my face and you said, "Hey, you're going to the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony on Saturday." And I said, "Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
That's
Please don't hurt my child."
how it went. I did it with Ish and Mallory too.
So we went down to the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony at the Texas Sports Hall of Fame in Waco. We live streamed it on Texan Live,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a lot of fun.
It was a blast.
That's all I have to say.
Oh, that was it.
Yeah, so this was something I know you've been working on for a while. When did I don't know that this is a genuine question. When did the idea of streaming the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony, because this is the first time it's ever been broadcast anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
when did that really come about?
I want to say we first started having conversation about it in March, early March, maybe even late February. Adam, our president, had come up and he was like, "Hey, just kind of wanted to put this in y'all's ear. We're kind of in talks about this, at least just streaming the banquet itself." He was like, "I don't know if y'all want to do something else with it or whatever. Just kind of like get back to me on what you think we could do." So I kind of was like, you know what? I bet we could do a pre-game type show is kind of what we called it. And so, yeah, I spent about the past 2 months working with the Hall of Fame and putting together a rundown and trying to figure out exactly what we wanted to do with it. And we ended up coming up with a 45-minute pre-game show to, to highlight everything, and then broadcasted the ceremony itself. And so it was really, really, really awesome to be able to be down there.
It was a lot of fun going down there to the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. I love going down there. I believe it was Ish's first trip.
It was, so I had not been to the actual Hall of Fame building until I went down for a site visit. And I did that in about early April. And then Ish and Mallory both had not been there before. So the Hall of Fame was nice enough to get us some hotel accommodations, and we were able to go down the night before on Friday so we could set up and everything. They were getting the whole banquet hall ready and all the stages and stuff. So we went down to set up and test internet and all of that. And so they got to walk around with the great Mike Anderson that kind of oversees all the building, and Kyle and all of them, and they got to go tour it and see Wax Dave for the first time.
Wax Dave.
And so it was really cool. You could tell they were really immersed in it.
So in the past, they've had it at the Farrell Center, which is I guess you could now call it the old basketball arena, because I know they're building a new basketball arena. And it was nice, but it also felt like that building was too big.
Right.
That building was too big. So they held it at the Hall of Fame this year, and I thought that was perfect.
It was great.
I thought it felt like crowded's the wrong word. I'm not going for crowded. It felt full.
But in a good way.
Yeah, in a good way. And so we were down there. The inductees in the High School Hall of Fame were Temple's Dick Stafford, Mejia's Ray Rhodes, of course, the former Packers coach, Rodney Allison, who we had as our guest on Monday's show, our buddy Shea Walker from Port Arthur Jefferson and Bally Sports Southwest, he went in, Tony Brackens, who was our guest last week on Thursday, and then Colt McCoy was got inducted as well. Plus a pair of Eddie Joseph Coach Awards. John Parchman, the legend from Midland Lee, now Midland Legacy, who led them to a three-peat back in the late 90s and 2000. And then Joey McGuire, the former Cedar Hill coach, now the head coach at Texas Tech. They were there, plus there were a couple of other
There was one
honors.
more.
Yes.
Our buddy.
Yes.
Robert Wilcox.
Robert Wilcox, who let me just try to do my best Craig Way impression. So Craig, who's the MC of the banquet.
Yes.
Craig gets up there and he's wearing his readers. He's wearing his readers, and he goes, "There's one more award to give out. It's the Dave Campbell Contributor of the Game Award. And this year's Dave Campbell Contributor of the Game Award." I should mention that's how Craig's in the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
It's basically, the idea is they wanted an award for somebody who wasn't a player or a coach, but who obviously has a major impact. That's how Craig's in the Hall of Fame. That's how Dave's in the Hall of Fame, stuff like that. And the award's named after Dave. It's Robert Wilcox. Robert Wilcox was the PA announcer for the Iowa Park Hawks. He takes off his glasses. For 72 years.
And then he just lets it sink in, and everybody goes,
Yeah.
I still have the picture of him. I'm going to put it up again.
And so he went up. There you go. So,
look at him.
So Robert Wilcox went in.
He was so sweet.
94. He went up there. He had a great speech.
He said this was like the first award.
Yeah,
he'd
it's like the first
really
award
won.
I've ever gotten.
I was like, can you imagine the first award that you've ever won being inducted to the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, going in with the all-time leader in sacks in
yeah.
Jaguars history, and also a guy who led the Texas Longhorns to a national championship game, and the head coach at Texas Tech,
yeah.
and then you, the PA announcer at Iowa Park.
It was awesome.
Really cool, and it was a fun event, and we had a great time streaming the pregame show. Myself and Ishmael Johnson and Mallory Hartley did a 45-minute kind of pregame show, kind of getting you geared up. And it was a lot of fun. They also honor the
2021 state champions.
So we got to see a number of guys. I got to see John Kay. I got to say hi to
Homer Matlock
from Westbrook. Meet his lovely wife.
Ray Biles.
Ray Biles and Mark Fannin were hanging out together because they've got a big district game coming up here soon. And so we were chatting with them. It was just great to see people. Saw Coach McGuire, and he was real deep. Kirby Hokott, the athletic director
for Texas Tech was there.
Tech came.
Man, it was like a West Texas ceremony because there were 3 different guys. Well, 4 technically, because Coach Parchman, he didn't play at Tech, but he did go there for college before becoming the coach at Midland Lee. So there was 4 out of the 8 that had
Tech contingents.
Yeah.
David Wetzel, who's the head of, I guess he's director of high school relations or whatever. Like he's the grand poobah over there at Baylor. Great to see him.
All the UIL folks were there, and the
TXHSFB folks. Kenny Perry from the Tech staff was there.
You looked at us at one point and you were like, "This is a big who's who," and it was like, it really was.
You looked around, it's like, well, there's Joe Martin and Glenn West, and there's Dr. Susan Elza and Dr. Charles Breidup and Dr. Jamie Harrison, and everybody was there. It was a lot of fun to be part of it, and we were proud to. One guy, I can't remember who it was, but he mentioned that his mom was live streaming. Like, couldn't make it to the ceremony, but she
was watching
the stream, and I'm like, that's cool. Like,
yeah,
I'm glad we were able to at least somebody's mom
got
to see
and
it.
Coach McGuire had mentioned that his son, who works for the Carolina Panthers, wasn't able to come in, and so he said that he was watching it too. And like that, you weren't in the car with us on the way back, but when Mallory Ish and I were driving back in the swag wagon, we mentioned that we were like, that's always the most rewarding thing there is when we do a show like that. And it was a lot the same way with like the National Signing Day show. It's not just a Dave Campbell's thing. It's like, this means a lot to the other people involved. So it's always really fun for us when we can put on something like that.
It's a great ceremony honoring a number of outstanding people enshrined in the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame now. And I guess I should mention Todd Dodge got the Tom Landry Award.
And then Marlin High School got the Gordon
Wood Award. So it was a fun night there, and one of the guys who got in was Colt McCoy. This is weird. I'd never met Colt. We're the same age, but like
he looks the exact same. That's what was weird to me when he walked up. I was like, "You look like the exact same person I used to watch do interviews when I was like 8 years old."
Here's the thing. I think it's telling. I'll just say this. I think it's telling. Colt McCoy he's in the NFL. He plays for the
Cardinals.
The Cardinals.
He's a backup.
So he's an NFL guy. Joey McGuire is the head coach of Texas Tech, right? These guys have things to do. They're a little busy, but it was obviously very important for them to be there.
Well, and they brought out their entire families, too, which was so cool.
Coach Brad McCoy was there, of course, his Colt's dad, who he played for at Jim Ned. And it was just, I don't know, I think that really speaks to what an honor this was and what an honor that all these guys felt like it was to go into the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. I'd never met Colt. Colt was before, which is kind of weird because I guess it was a little bit before my time here at Dave Campbell's to meet him. But one person who did meet him was Mallory Hartley. Mallory Hartley did an interview with him that we ran on the pre-show. If you missed it, here's Mallory Hartley's interview with Colt McCoy ahead of the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Mallory Hartley with Dave Campbell's Texas Football, standing here with Colt McCoy, a 2022 Texas High School Football Hall of Fame inductee. Now, I'm always curious, what was your initial reaction when you found out that you were going to be in the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame? Big deal, big deal.
Yeah, I was definitely shocked. When I was in college, I did a internship with the UIL, which was right across the street from our practice fields at UT. And Dr. Breidup was the director of the UIL, and we spent probably a semester together, and I hadn't talked to him in years. And we were in the middle of the season. It was like a Monday or Tuesday night, and my phone rang, and it was Dr. Breidup. And I was like, I can't believe on my phone it came up. So I was actually at dinner with our offensive line. We were out like treating them to a steak. I don't know, we must have played good the week before or something. And I texted him and said, "I'm so sorry, it's very loud in here, I'll call you back." And he texted me back and said, like, "Call me as soon as you can, I think you're going to like what I'm going to tell you." And I was like, what is going on? So that night on my way home, I gave him a call, and he told me about this. And I mean, honestly, there's so many good football players in the 2000s era that I'm getting inducted in. That I'm very grateful. I'm very humbled. I'm honored, and really excited to be here.
And kind of speaking to that, you already mentioned it, there's also a lot of Texas players that have been inducted into the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. So ultimately, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I feel like tonight I'm representing where I grew up, my hometown. Went to Tuscola Gymnet High School. My family, my parents still live there. Still have tons of friends and relations. I mean, that was the best part of my life growing up. And I also am representing the University of Texas. I mean, that's part of me and who I am and my story. And I love that our university so much. And so again, like, so many people to thank and people who have helped me along the way, but just really proud to be here.
Well, thank you, Colt, and congratulations. Tepper, back to you.
Colt McCoy, now in the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame. He went in shortly after that interview.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's very cool of him to stop by and chat with us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was fun. The pre-show was fun. Ish was great. Mallory's great. That's not a surprise. They're pros.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't curse. Not once.
Yeah.
Not once.
Yeah. That was good stuff.
And, of course, we would be remiss if we didn't mention that the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony was presented by our friends at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance.
Mm-hmm.
They do so much with the Hall of Fame, the High School Football Hall of Fame, that we want to make sure we give them some love. So thanks to Texas Farm Bureau Insurance for helping make all of that possible. And, yeah.
Also wanted to say real fast, we did during the entire broadcast have a QR code up at the top for donations for the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame, and that's a big thing for them. That's basically how they run and get to do all of these awesome things, how they keep up with the building, with all those amazing artifacts that are in there, and then also the banquet itself. So thank you to everybody who donated, and if you're ever, like, it's open to the public too, so if you're ever in Waco, like, take a break from the I-35 traffic for a minute and go swing in there, hand them a little donation.
Texas Sports Hall of Fame is worth your time. If you've ever been to Waco there, well, you've probably been to Waco. If you've ever been to the Hall of Fame,
if you've ever actually stopped in Waco, a lot of people drive through Waco,
exactly.
you know?
No, it's great event and a great building and a bunch of great folks there. So we appreciate them letting us be a little part of that. And the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Maybe we'll do it next year. Who knows? Maybe they hate us and they never want to see us again. I guess we'll find out together. Anyway, thanks to our friends to the Texas High School Football Hall of Fame for making that happen. Let's go over to Ashley Pickle for America's second favorite segment. Final thoughts.
Big news.
Okay.
Dateline.
Okay.
Matt Stepp will be back in the great state on Sunday.
Audible gasp.
And the crowd goes wild.
Audible gasp.
Also, he said that Ricky and Ruben Torres are not related, so I was wrong.
See? That's why you don't say it.
Hey,
until you confirmed it, because I've run into that before.
Yeah, well, being on the same team and an OC and a head coach, that's
in
pretty
Marlin,
brotherly thing.
too.
In Marlin, Texas, and the fact that they both started with an R. I might have questioned it more, but you know how a lot of families do, like, the same first letter throughout however many kids that they have. Like, I really feel
Who did I
like
talked to recently that's like that?
There's like my cousins are Kaylin, Kara, Kelly. Like, they all they all do that. We're Ashley and Jake, so my parents did not do that, which I feel like is just a death sentence, because as a mom, like, I'm sure you get like, and you go through the whole list of names. Like, that's got to be even harder.
I mean, I have a hard enough time. Like, Hank and Max are two very different names, and I still call Hank Max and Max Hank.
Yeah,
so.
I watched you make a doctor's appointment for the wrong kid one time,
did.
and I literally had to stop and go, as you said, Henry, and I was like, Max, and you're like, Hank,
oh, yeah, the
it's
other
Hank.
Kid.
What?
Other kid. So many kids now. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending all of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks to Colt McCoy for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please meet your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you tomorrow on Texas Football Today.